At the end of my first semester of college, I had a 2.6 GPA. I'm sure you can imagine how devastating this was for someone that was on the pre-health track. I felt lost. I felt like all my dreams were crushed. I felt like I had no sense of direction. Fast forward some years later, I graduated dental school cum laude and matched into orthodontics, one of the most competitive specialties in dentistry. I even ended up graduating college with under a 3.0 GPA, and I still made it this far. If this is something that resonates with you, definitely watch the rest of this video for motivation and inspiration on how to achieve your career goals. What's going on, everybody? My name is Dr. Eli, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I started this channel at the beginning of my dental school journey because I wanted to inspire people to continue chasing their dreams. I graduated college with a low GPA, a 2.97, and around a 2.67 science GPA. And I wanted to document my journey navigating through dental school, how I got into dental school, and all the other things, just to show you all that it's possible, and even if you're fighting an uphill battle, it's never too late to continue chasing your dreams. On my channel, I have over 300 videos of vlogs from when I was in dental school, as well as videos where I give advice to pre-dental students about how to study for the DAT, how to apply strategically to dental school, and more things. So if that's something you're interested in, please make sure you subscribe to this channel and continue watching all the videos for motivation and inspiration, and follow my life as a dentist and someone who's in orthodontics residency, soon to be a board certified orthodontist. So in the past, I've made videos like these explaining how I got into dental school with a low GPA, how I studied for the DAT to get a high competitive DAT score. And if you want to watch some of those videos, definitely check out my Pre-Dent advice playlist when you're finished watching this video. I think it'll be very helpful for you and very motivating if you're someone who's coming from a similar background as I was and you're trying to get into dental school or even medical school. Now that I've graduated dental school, I feel like this is an appropriate time to make an updated video. Even though I've made this video once or twice before, there's always a lot of new faces to the channel, and you may have lost that video in translation, so now it's time to make an updated one. So if you are one of those people who are struggling in college, you feel like the science classes are too hard, your academic advisors are telling you you may need to pursue something different or change your career goals from pursuing medicine or dentistry or whatever it is, this video is for you. I'm here to help you realize it's never too late to change things around, to continue chasing your dreams, and ultimately to get into that school that you dreamed of when you started college or when you decided that you wanted to be a doctor. So let's rewind. Let me start my story with college. When I started college, I was 17 years old. Honestly, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I had an inkling that I wanted to work in healthcare. Honestly, I lacked discipline, I lacked maturity, and I didn't really have the work ethic of somebody who was on a pre-health track. Now, keep in mind, when I started college, I was interested in pre-med because that's pretty much what's pushed to all young students. They don't really tell you all the opportunities you have as far as PA school, PT school, dental school, pharmacy school. It's really just pre-med, 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 at least at the school that I went to. So I think that was one of the issues that I struggled with at first, because I really only wanted to be one kind of doctor. But to be honest, medicine did not really interest me that much. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I started off my college career with a 2.6 GPA. My first semester, I was taking Calculus 1, Principles of Biology 1, General Chemistry 1 with the lab, and pretty much like an introduction to college course that I was required to take for the honors college, which I was in at University of Maryland. In these science courses, I saw straight C's. Principles of Biology 1, I think I got a C+. Gen Chem 1 and Gen Chem 1 Lab, I think I got a flat C in both of them. Calculus 1, I think I got a B. And then in the honors course, I got an A, but that class was only maybe 1 or 2 credits. So I finished the semester with a 2.6 GPA, and honestly, as a college student, I had never seen anything under a 3.0 in my life. But I will admit that I didn't know how to study. I was adjusting to college. I was adjusting to the social life of college. And, you know, I was having my fun. I won't lie, but my head wasn't really where it was supposed to be. So after the first semester, I knew I had to make a change. So I started to turn it around a little bit. After the first semester of college, I decided to scale back the number of science courses I was going to take at a time. I decided to focus on just taking Principles of Biology 2, and I held off a little bit before starting organic chemistry. So I just took Principles of Biology 2, Calculus 2, and I can't even remember the other courses I took. But After that semester of college, I had a 3.2 in that semester, which brought my overall GPA up to a 2.9. So now I'm starting to feel a little more comfortable in college. We operated on a plus minus scale, so a 2.7 was a B minus. So I was right in between that B minus and B average, and I felt a little more sense of direction. Next semester, I came back and I was more motivated than ever. I was ready to attack my books and continue to increase my GPA, but I started getting into other things. I wanted to pledge a fraternity, and my grades kind of were rocky for that entire year, pretty much year and a half that I was pledging Alpha Phi Alpha. I don't regret it for anything. I'll admit that right now. Alpha Phi Alpha has brought me more opportunities in this world than anything else. Brought me maturity as a man, it's brought me growth as a man, and it's taught me how to persevere. And ultimately, I believe that these experiences are what kept me going to achieve the dreams that I wanted to achieve. Nonetheless, it bought me a network, which eventually ended up paying back major dividends, especially when it came to applying to dental school. Having 3 other brothers in my chapter who were in dental school or dentists at the time, I had a lot of direction of what I could do when it came to applying to dental school, and they are part of the reason why I decided to start this YouTube channel to begin with. I knew that I was very fortunate to have access to so much information and that there are a lot of students in this world who don't. So I thought, I'm going to start this YouTube channel so that everyone can have the same access to information as I did. Because at the end of the day, that's what helped me get into dental school and get to where I am today. So I don't want to talk about college for too long because at this point, that's so far ago. But I ended up graduating college with a 2.97 GPA. I will say that for the most part, my grades were on an upward trend from that 2.6, but my goal was to graduate college with a 3.0, and honestly, I fell short of my goal. And even at that point, I felt a little defeated. So while I was in college, I got involved in a lot of different things to try to boost my resume and get some extracurriculars in so that I could be a good applicant for professional school. Some of the things I did were volunteering at University of Maryland Orthopedic and Rehabilitation Institute, where over my winter breaks, I would go pretty much every day. I would also go on weekends just to build up my volunteer hours, get some clinical experience, and I thought that that would help me get into professional school, and ultimately, I think it did. I also did a lot of community service through my fraternity. I served as the chapter president of my fraternity on campus, and I also joined a pre-health society called Charles R. Drew Multicultural Pre-Health Society, where I was able to build that network and get information about applying to med school, dental school, etc. Now, throughout my entire time in college, I was pre-med, so my goal was to go to medical school. That did not change until after I graduated college. So upon graduating college, I knew I didn't quite have what it took to apply to medical school, so I started to look into other options, and the first thing I found was the NIH Post-Bac Intramural Research Training Program. In this program, you join a lab at NIH, you get paid a small stipend, and essentially you get to build your research skills, your research backgrounds, and if you're fortunate enough, you get a publication out of it at some point. So I joined a lab at the National Institute of Drug Abuse, and I worked there for about a year and a half. Let me rewind a second. I graduated college in the fall, so I spent an extra semester in college on purpose. But like I said, I started college when I was 17. I wanted to wait until I was 22 to graduate college. Just a maturity thing. So I was working at NIH for a year and a half, and I realized that although I'm getting all this good research experience, the thing that needs to change is my grades, my academic background. So I applied for a post-bac program and got accepted to G Squared at Georgetown and George Mason universities. Now, this experience at Georgetown and George Mason universities allowed me to slightly increase my GPA, but also it allowed me the opportunity to show professional schools that I was a good applicant and that I could handle classes on a med school level. The classes that we took at George Squared were taught by Georgetown Medical School professors, and they were on the medical school level. So taking these classes not only prepared me for professional school, but also showed professional schools that I was applying to that I could handle courses at this level even though I did not perform the best in undergrad. Now, I do have an entire video on why I switched from pre-med to pre-dent, which you could watch, but to keep it brief, while I was working at NIH and I started earning this small stipend, I decided to go back and get braces for the second time. And when I went to this orthodontist that took over my old orthodontist practice, it was a black woman, and she was the first black healthcare provider I had in my entire life. Naturally, over the course of me having braces, I took a genuine interest in orthodontics, and talking to my orthodontist, I got the confidence to switch from pre-med to pre-dent because she was also in the similar situation before she went to dental school. So by the time I was applying and matriculating into George Squared, I had completely shifted my focus to applying to dental school and taking the DAT, and I was laser focused. I had new motivation. I felt like I finally found something that I was really interested in. And even though my interest in dentistry came through orthodontics, I genuinely liked general dentistry. My cousin is a practice owner in Georgia, and I took a week to go shadow her and to see what everything in the life of a general dentist looks like. And that's what really sold me to pursue dentistry as a career. Whether you're going to medical school or dental school, shadowing is pretty much a requirement, and building shadowing hours are great. However, shadowing is so important because it allows you to truly see what you like and what you don't like. I shadowed an orthopedic surgeon, which is the type of physician that I wanted to be if I were to go to medical school, and I shadowed a general dentist and an orthodontist. And I felt like the difference between these two shadowing experiences really solidified in my mind that I wanted to go to dental school instead of medical school. Had I taken the time to do all this extensive shadowing when I was a little bit younger, maybe during my freshman or sophomore year of college, I might have made this decision a lot earlier and maybe saved myself some years. However, once again, I have no regrets in my journey. I feel like everything happened when it needed to happen, and ultimately, I was ready for each step when I was supposed to get there. So, of course, I finished this George Squared program and I retook the DAT, and now I felt confident in applying to dental school. I no longer felt that sense of, well, what if I don't get in, or I don't know if I'm good enough. After completing George Squared and taking the DAT and getting a competitive score, it wasn't necessarily a whether or not I'll get into dental school. It was more so which schools I felt like I could get into, because I knew I could get into somewhere. Quick intermission to the video. If you're watching the video and you've made this far and you're enjoying the content, please drop a like on the video. It's right here under the video. Just click the little thumbs up button. It's of no cost to you, and it does so much to help boost the video and the channel in the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. So when it came to applying to dental schools, I was very strategic with my application. I applied to schools that, one, had George Squared alumni that matriculated into the school, two, that my GPA fell within the range of students that they accepted, and three, that my DAT would be a competitive score at. I ended up applying to 12 dental schools, and I received interviews for 6 of them. I ended up choosing the first school that I interviewed at, which was Boston University Henry M. Goldman School of Dental Medicine. And I went to Boston and joined this dental school, and it was one of the best decisions I could have ever made. When I was applying to dental school, it was the height of COVID. It was summer of 2020. So my application cycle did not allow us to go visit any schools. You pretty much had to pick a school based off the vibe of your interview and whatever virtual tour you could get online. Thankfully, I chose the right school, and I would choose it again time and time again. I got a great education from Boston University, and I felt supported and challenged. I felt like this school really prepared us to be great dentists as soon as you graduate. So now let's talk about dental school, graduating cum laude, and matching into orthodontics. Now, for those of you that don't know, the dental school curriculum at most schools is set up pretty much one way. In your first year of dental school, you're taking a lot of basic science courses, same type of courses that you took in undergrad, biochem, anatomy, physiology, microbio, things like that. And your dental school may incorporate a few dentistry classes in there, but second year is when you really start taking the classes that are all the disciplines of dentistry. Removable prosthodontics, fixed prosthodontics, endodontics, all that stuff. So for me, the first year of dental school was still kind of a struggle, especially because a lot of students are, they were better students than me in undergrad, and I was lucky enough that I did this Post-Bac program that kind of helped me get up to speed. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been. However, you can understand that most people were coming from a very strong science background and did very well in these basic science courses in their undergraduate career. And as a result, they had a very strong background to build off of during the first year of dental school. For me, not so much. I still was coming from somewhere strong, but I definitely wasn't at the level that my classmates were at. And I started off dental school my first year with just a 3.0 GPA. I was fortunate enough that I didn't fail any classes or have to remediate any classes. However, even after this first year of dental school, I felt, man, my grades are not that high. Orthodontics is a very competitive residency to get into, and I may already be Xing myself out by not performing at the top of the class. But as school continued on, the playing field began to level out. You're now starting to take classes that no one else has taken before. You're getting information that no one else has seen before. And then once you get into your third and fourth year, you have to factor in clinic grades as well. And sometimes some people are just a lot better clinicians than they are in the classroom. Clinic and dealing with patients has to do a little bit with what you know and how well you are at performing procedures, but a lot of it comes into your people skills, how comfortable you make people feel, how well you can relate to people. And I feel like this is where I thrived. So in dental school, my grades continued to accelerate at an upward trend, and I ended up graduating cum laude from my dental school, which means I believe you have to have between a 3.2 and a 3.49. So I was getting there. Like I said, I started off pretty low and kind of accelerated up. But for me in dental school, one of the major things that I stuck to was that I didn't want to let school stress me out excessively, especially because it took me so long and so much work to get there. I just wanted to stay afloat while also not giving up everything that I love, which was doing YouTube, going to the gym 5-6 times a week, and also making time to be social and hang out with friends. It was very important to me that I found that work-life balance while I was in dental school to prevent burnout. I knew that I wanted to match into a competitive specialty and I had an interest in orthodontics, but I think the good thing for me was that I really like general dentistry, and I would have been totally fine if I ended up just being a general dentist. Things ended up working out well for me. However, there was definitely a good amount of time in dental school where I was on the fence about specializing because I really did like general dentistry. So having come from the background that I came from, having had those struggles in undergrad, I was not new to knowing that I had to do extra things outside the classroom if my ultimate goal was to match into a competitive specialty. I'll be honest, it wasn't until my third year of dental school where I saw my big bro, Dr. Jeff Ajayi, post that he matched into orthodontics at University of Buffalo. Jeff is also an alpha that crossed at another chapter in the state of Maryland. Alphas in the state of Maryland were all very close. I knew Jeff was in dental school. He was one of those bros that I looked up to, that I was like, you know, he's in dental school, he's doing the thing, this is something I can do. And when I saw Jeff matched into orthodontics, it kind of put that battery in my back to say, okay, I can do this too. So I started to get very strategic about my application process. Now, luckily for me, I was naturally just a very social and very involved person in dental school, getting involved in things like SNDA, being an admissions ambassador, being a matriculation ambassador. However, when I decided I was going to fully lean into this process of applying to orthodontics, I started getting ready to take the GRE. I started reaching out to program directors about coming to shadow or to visit their program, and I started being very intentional about what I was doing in order to one day match into orthodontics. So I visited a few schools. I started looking up programs and looking at what they like about students and what kind of students they like, and I started tailoring all my experiences in dental school in order to get to this level. At the end of third year, you take the GRE and you start submitting your application to residencies. I ended up applying again to 12 programs. I received 4 interviews, and in November, on match day, I ended up matching into my #1 choice, which was Indiana University. I can't lie to you, I kind of feel like I'm still on a high from matching. Like, it's been 7 months at this point, but it's really a dream come true. If you've ever heard about match day, the match process, and just residency interviews in general, it's very daunting. Even if you're a stellar student, top of your class, all that good stuff, some people don't match simply because the algorithm just doesn't work in their favor, and it's very unfortunate. So for me to match at the program of my dreams, I still feel very thankful and very blessed. And I'm one of those people that no one will ever regret the decision of accepting me. Same with Boston University. I felt like they took a chance on me, seeing that my undergrad grades looked the way they were, and they saw my GPA and DAT and they said, look, I think he can do it, let's give him a shot. I bet you they never ever will regret it. And actually, they talk about me a lot, especially when it comes to this YouTube channel. So now I'm in Indiana and I'm less than a week away from starting my orthodontic residency journey. It's 2-year programs with a master's degree, meaning I have to do a research thesis as well. And I'm super excited. I hope watching this video gave you some motivation or some inspiration to keep chasing your dreams, because I was probably in your shoes before, and look at where I am now. This couldn't have come without perseverance, without work ethic, without maturity, and realizing what needed to be done. So if you're one of those people, it's time to buckle down, get your mind right, and finish what you started. Drop a comment under this video if you can relate to this. Let me hear your story in the comments. I would love to hear it. If you're looking for motivation on your journey, this is definitely the channel to subscribe to. You'll get nothing but motivation on here. And I really started this channel because I was looking at channels like this when I was in undergrad on my pre-med journey, namely Dr. Antonio Webb, who's an orthopedic surgeon in San Antonio, Texas. When I was pre-med, that channel was my saving grace. And in turn, when I switched to Pre-Dent, I wanted this channel to be a saving grace for a Pre-Dent out there. That's all I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you got some inspiration out of this. Please make sure you subscribed if you watched all the way through, and make sure you like the video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.